All right, so it's you, it's John, it's me for now, but I hope we get more. In any
With this
case,
binky. Hold on with this binky for just, I'm sorry, I'm instructing. Hold on with this binky for a second and just kind of rock him. And make sure his stars are on. I have an almost 19-month-old, so, and this is his bedtime.
I get it. Been there, done that, got the
So,
t-shirt.
Mama rushes home from work and eat and all that, and then it's bath, and then it's bedtime. So,
Yeah, that's fine. Um, I wanted to mention that beginning with the week 4 assignment, so that's not till you get to your first real paper.
right.
I'm going to be doing the plagiarism checker on all of them, and so I hope that you will help me remember to say that later on in our live session tonight as more students join us, and I may post something too. Sometimes that takes people aback, especially if they're used to copying and pasting large parts of their assignment from another source. My feeling is that you got to have sources and you got to use sources. This is a collegiate paper, but most of the work, most of the wording has to come from you, and the papers bolster your points that you make. So just keep that in mind so I don't forget that point. And Kresha just joined us. Hi, Kresha. Good evening. Glad to see you with us.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Well, I've started the recording and it's past 6 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and start my PowerPoint presentation with your permission, and let's get going. And I'm going to share my desktop so you can see it. Let me know when you see my desktop, please. Nobody?
No, we
It just
got it.
popped up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's up. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine, John. Thanks.
No background feedback, huh?
Not today.
Good.
Whatever
All
it
right.
was,
Well,
you fixed it, and I'm grateful. Okay, so it's week 3. I welcome you all.
Sean, I'm loading.
Excuse me, did someone say something?
No, it's me, Krisha. I was saying that I still see the little loading.
Oh, okay. Well, let's give it a moment. And thank you for I said Kresha. You probably got that your whole life. Thank you for saying Krisha because that's even prettier. And I want to say your name's right.
Do you have the slideshow somewhere else that I can link up to?
Have the what? I'm sorry?
Do you have the slideshow?
Slideshow. Yes. If you look in the announcements
Okay.
button, you'll see a PowerPoint presentation title or something like that.
Okay, I'll go to it from there.
That's fine. So you're still not connected to my desktop then, Krisha?
No, it doesn't show me the desktop.
Oh, well,
It keeps showing loading.
okay. Well, yeah, if you go to that, let me know when you've got my presentation up and we can continue.
Okay. Okay, you can go on.
Great. Well, welcome, guys, to week 3's live session. Hoping more will join us. Glad you have made the effort to join me this evening. Here's what we're going to look at tonight. Well, I say taking roll. I just like to know who's here and who's not. But there's, a participation component to this that I have explained, and I'll explain to anyone who would like me to. So I'll give you an opportunity to ask any questions about anything here real soon. And then we'll go over the week 3 objectives, the week 3 assignment, which is PowerPoint presentation, and give you one last chance to discuss anything else you'd like to. So who's here? Well, that really is me, but did anyone ever hear of the TV show from the 60s, Gilligan's Island?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I'm dressed. This is not Mr. Howell for those of you who might know, but it's somebody who visited the island once, a Hollywood producer named Harold Hecuba. That's who I went to the costume party as. Okay, does anyone have questions just off the top that I can answer for you? Giving Brandy a chance, but would like to give everyone a chance.
Nothing for me just yet. When I signed in, I heard you guys talking about how the organizations may not necessarily fit exactly into the way the book describes the different aspects. And I'm kind of got a late start this week. I'm going through all that stuff here yesterday and today, and that's exactly what I was thinking about is how my organization fits into to these ideas here, these formats. Is it a flat? Is it what is this thing? It's so. I think. Well, I would say it's probably unique. You kind of read a little bit about what I do, but.
Yes.
We're independent contractors, all of us. They got rid of us. They terminated us about 8 years ago as an employee. So, the management at my level, we've had to go out and form LLCs, and we have contracts, and under us are groups of contractors. So we're like a first line, I guess, almost supervisory level managers with about 40 independent contractors under us. It's and we're really disconnected from the corporate part of it, which is downsized greatly, very small compared to what it used to be.
Well, and John, any chance you could get another job in like Apple before the assignment's due, so it'll be easier?
Okay, repeat that again and get another job in what?
Like it with Apple, so it will be easier for you to finish the assignment.
I know. Yeah.
I know, yeah. So you got to use a shoehorn. Do what you need to.
Make
You'll
it
be
fit.
okay.
Yeah.
I know it's not going to be easy. Yeah, in your case especially. Anyone else have a comment or question?
Yes, I do. This is Brandy. So I have been working on my PowerPoint, but and this is maybe where it's wrong. I guess I have not been using a lot of the vocabulary and what we learned in Chapter 8 because it's more about what are their 4 key elements, for that fit basically their mission and vision, and it's all about helping. So I haven't really found myself, defining their culture like clan or hierarchy or anything like that. So I feel like I haven't been applying Chapter 8 to any of the comparisons, if that makes sense.
It does. And, some of this is just not going to be useful for this assignment. And I understand that. For other students, it may. You got to use the shoehorn sometime to make it fit.
I just wanted to make sure because I just felt like I wasn't really utilizing a lot of terms and terminology and different explanations from Chapter 8 into my presentation.
Yeah. Well, you respond to the specific requirements of the assignment, and you'll be fine. Okay. Even if you don't use a lot of Chapter 8, because if you look at my grading guide, which I've attached to the assignment instructions, that's how I grade you. So in advance. And you just make sure that you tick off all those elements, and you'll be fine, Randy.
Okay, thank you.
Aaliyah, welcome. Glad you could join us.
I actually had a question about the assignment.
Please.
I just wanted to know, as far as like when it said the slides about would you implement the culture that they have at that company where I currently work? And it says, if you recommend it, yes or no, but do you want us to still put a strategy even if we don't recommend it?
Well, let's see. So can you see my desktop, Aaliyah?
Yes.
Good. So recommend, is this what you're talking about? Recommend an implementation process should management decide to implement a culture change in line with the ideal culture? Yeah, so you're basically assuming that the management of your organization is going to go along with the ideal organizational culture model that Chapter 8 talks about right at the end of the chapter.
Okay.
And so you assume that, and then you discuss what I say discuss. You have some bullet points because PowerPoint presentations, they are bullet points, right? Not narrative. You explain the narrative is using the speaker's notes function. If you're not familiar with that, let me know and I'll be happy to go over it. But in any case, yeah, you're going to have some bullet points on your slide that are implementation considerations or steps that would be in line with ideals culture should your organization decide to adopt it, and then your speaker's notes would explain the bullet points, indeed, if they need explanation. Does that make sense?
Okay, so like, for instance, I have, okay, like for as far as like the techniques, well, the techniques that I put on the slide, I put those in like small bullet, like short sentences, but like I made a slide that says who is IDEO or whatever, so that's like it's not a whole paragraph, but it's like a good 3 sentences, full sentences. Is that not okay?
Well, so sometimes I'm picky and sometimes I'm not. When it comes to PowerPoint presentations, they are for bullet points. The slides themselves are for bullet points or graphics or titles or photos, that sort of thing. And if you're going to have a lot of narration on them, I'm going to have the opinion that that's not a proper usage of it. The narration belongs in the speaker's notes function.
And that's on PowerPoint.
So there, yeah, if you bring up a PowerPoint presentation, let me bring up one. I have the week 3 live session here on PowerPoint, and I save it to PDF when you see it and when I go through it, because there's some little editing cues in here that may not be helpful. Okay, see down here where it says notes? So you click on that and it says click to add notes. Am I going to spell your name right? Yes, I think.
Okay, wait, I can't see.
Does that make sense?
Okay, hold on, because I don't see. Okay, so you said on the PowerPoint, you click the note function?
Yeah, down here on the bottom.
Yes,
if it's
note,
not already
right.
showing.
Okay, and then you click that, and then you put whatever, I guess, there.
You put, this is where you discuss your bullet points if they're not clear by themselves.
Gotcha. Okay. So you prefer that that's where I put like the 3 or so sentences about the company.
IDEO?
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Now think of all the classmates who aren't with us tonight or who don't watch the recorded presentation may have some comments from me if they do use PowerPoint. Maybe I'll put a note there so people know what I'm looking for. I don't want to be unfair with anyone. But I think it's great for you as a student, if you don't use PowerPoint much, to understand how to use it correctly, properly, effectively, basically. Okay. Any other questions off the top?
Yeah, one quick question. Is a table of contents okay, or is that not necessary?
7 to 10 slides. If you feel it's helpful, I don't think it's necessary. I wouldn't grade down if it's omitted.
Okay.
But if it's helpful to you to organize yourself, you can include it. That's fine.
Okay, and then I guess my last question. So you'll have a title, you'll have you'll have the reference page. It says 7 to 10 slides. Does that mean seven to 10 slides substantial about just the portion of what we're supposed to do on the assignment, or can that be as in a whole? Because you're going to have a title and a reference and possibly a conclusion.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes, and so that's inclusive of all the slides, reference slide, title slide, and so forth. But you know, if you have 10 information slides, not just title, not just reference, but the guts of the presentation, and then you have 3 more slides for a table of contents, a title slide, and a reference slide, that's fine. I'm not going to dock you for going over.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure I didn't need to have like 7 slides of substantial about the assignment.
Nope.
Total. As long as I'm covering what's required.
Yes, ma'am. Exactly. Okay, let's move on. So our week 3 objectives from the syllabus in our week 3 focus is on the management function of organizing. And so we talk in the readings and in the discussion questions about organizational culture, organizational structure, and design, and how that impacts things like whether or not you want to work for an organization. So sometimes that's not always easy to get from the outside, but that's where the internet is really useful. You can find out a lot about organizational culture from rank and file employees on the internet. And then assess the factors involved in organizational change. So change is a constant, and I'm sure you're all aware of that. Our world is changing, our country is changing, our organizations are certainly changing as well. And there's a variety of reasons for constant change, whether it's competition, which basically requires an organization to change, or downsizing, a shrinking economy. There's 100 reasons. New financial system can result in lots of organizational changes. So I don't have a lecture for these, but if any of you have questions or points you'd like to make about the week 3 objectives, please do. Great, let's move on. So I talked a little bit about the organizational structure and design PowerPoint presentation. I sense out there that there is some little unsureness about it. That's natural, and I don't know if you're aware of it, but this Management 521 group of courses that began on May 22nd have a completely new syllabus with completely new assignments. And so some of this is hitting me new too. But I made sure to go over that syllabus so that I could justify, explain, and appropriately grade all the assignments. But I'm just not an expert in it like I was in the prior 521 syllabus, which I taught at least a dozen times. So any questions about the assignment? Great. Any questions about anything? Was somebody going to say something? Please do. Okay, Brandy, you don't have to remind me because I do remember. I wanted to mention to the rest of the students that beginning in week 4, you'll have your first formal paper assignment. And I want to go to the syllabus now so you understand what I'm talking about. And I know, I don't want to jump ahead and freak anybody out. I just want you to be prepared for the point I'm going to make. This is the week 4 assignment, examination of leadership approaches, and it's going to be a paper of 800 to 1100 words. I think I shortened it by about 300 words when I did the syllabus, because I think you can cover this in 1100 fairly easily. Here are the requirements of it, and I'm not going to go through those. The point I wanted to make to you is, as a formal paper, this will be the first assignment that I will use a plagiarism checker for every student. So that means that I'm going to submit them to the plagiarism checker, and you will get the results of the plagiarism checker examination of your papers. And so I know that you're going to use other sources for your papers. You have to. You can't get by in a collegiate environment without using sources. They need to be appropriately credited, which I'm sure you'll do. But if I see a paper, you know, as a result of the plagiarism checker that's 35 or 40% non-original material, I'm going to mention that to you because that's just too high. Your research and the quotes and other stuff that you put in your paper from other sources should bolster the points that you make. They can amplify it, the points you make as well, but most of the work, the vast majority, has to be yours. Is there any questions about that, or why I mentioned it at this point? Okay, and I don't know how many of you have had previous UOP courses with the plagiarism checker score shared by the instructor?
I previously would have to, pardon me, do the plagiarism checker myself through the library, and I would have to submit that with my paper, actually. And that was just some of the requirements in my previous classes.
Okay. Well, I'm not asking you to do that. I will do the work involved. Call me a control freak. But, yeah, I'm glad you're used to at least the process. John, were you going to say something? Okay, any other comment about this? I just want you to be prepared. I want everybody to be prepared. So I will put a note, probably tonight, to make sure that everyone's aware that the papers will go through a plagiarism checker. And it'll be the one in the UOP library. It won't be anything exotic. That one works.
Just to clarify, you don't want us to put it through the plagiarism checker ourselves, right?
No, I'm not requiring that.
Okay.
It may be useful for you to do that, but I'm not requiring you to do it or to post the results. No.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, back to my PowerPoint presentation. We're at the end of tonight's presentation. We've talked about the objectives and the assignments and whatnot. Are there any other comments for the good of the order? How's things going out there? You know, is the class going in a manner that makes sense to you, and with something that you're confident about completing? Any issues out there?
Oh, I do have another question.
Yes, please.
Okay, like for the conclusion slide.
Yes.
I kind of, like I said, did the same thing with the maybe like 2 or 3 sentences, one bullet, but like 2 or 3 sentences. Is that okay? Or, because I mean, the conclusion is like, I guess what I think about it. So I don't know if it would be in small bullet points anyway.
I would like you to go ahead with the conclusion slide and do bullet points, and then use the speaker's note function to explain anything that needs the explanation. Yes.
Okay.
And thank you for asking that.
And you did say, like I said, that I do need to have, even though I didn't recommend that we implement that culture, I still need to put a plan to implement it.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Anyone else need or have a question or need clarification about anything? How's morale? Good?
Thank Thank you so much for grading our assignments quickly. I don't have to wait till the end of the week to see what I made from the previous week.
Oh, you're welcome.
Agreed. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I know it's kind of weird. And for those of you who have had previous UOP courses, I do that purposely. I do whatever I can to make sure that they're done right on Tuesday. And when I go to faculty training, I mean, I'm the oddball. I know I am. But I know the utility of having an early grade so you can use the comments and follow on assignments. So you're most welcome. I'm going to continue to do that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, if there, Brandy, did you have another comment?
No, sir, I'm sorry.
No worries. If that's all, then I won't keep you any longer. I will stop the recording and bid everyone a good evening.